All right, we are live. Good morning, everyone. Welcome back to another episode here on Andrea Speaks TV. All right, I hope you all are doing well. Good morning. Please let me know that you can hear me and see me. All right, please let me know that you can hear me and see me. Uh-oh. Good morning, everyone. Happy Monday to you. I hope that you're doing well. I hope your family is doing well. Please let me know that you can hear me and see me. Please let me know that you can hear me and see me. I have a really good topic this morning, one that I feel like we all could benefit from. So I want to come on and share this information with you all. Okay, again, I want to say good morning to you. All right, it looks like everything is working well. Okay. All right, y'all. So I'll try to get through this information in a timely manner. I don't want to keep you too long because I know that you may be busy this morning. I got my cup of coffee here. Okay. And I hope that you all are having a wonderful start to your day. Listen, y'all. The topic of today's video. Okay, I kind of got a sinus thing. Uh-oh. I don't know what that something on my phone. I don't know what that was. Look like another YouTube video or something. But what I want to say is, we talk here on the channel about um, the need to be prepared, and especially nowadays, the need to know where our food is coming from. Not only know where our food to know, not only to know where our food is coming from, but also to know what is actually in our food. Okay, do you agree or disagree with that? Now more than ever, it seems like we need to know that. Hold on, y'all. Let me put a y'all get you something to drink or whatever you need to do while I touch up on my lipstick here. Okay. Let's see. Like I was saying, now more than ever, it seems that we need to know where our food is coming from. Not only where our food is coming from, but what's actually in our food, right? You all agree or disagree with that? I think that's very important. Just touch this up just a little bit, y'all. Okay. All right. Thank you. Okay, y'all. Listen, I want to talk about now. This is something I feel like is not headline news. You all can let me know, but um, I feel like it's something on YouTube, YouTube short or something popped up. I don't know what was going on. Sorry about that, y'all. But what I want to say is, I want to talk about the five biggest threats against our food supply here in the United States. Now, please make sure that you take some time to watch this video in its entirety because the information that I'm sharing is very, very important. Okay. Let's see. Let me just share it again. All right. So, again, thank you all so much for tuning in. Listen, I want to start off just by reflecting on some of the topics we've talked about here on the channel. It seems like to me, and you can also share your thoughts as well, but it seems like our food supply is under attack. Um, do you agree or disagree with that? Let me first explain what I mean, right? We hear reports, or maybe you're not aware, maybe you're learning for the first time, but there are reports, right, that you know, there are plans, there are meetings being held, even right now, as I do this video. Okay, there are meetings being held, some that are international, right? A collaborative effort amongst countries. There are plans already in the works, right, to introduce genetically modified foods, okay, as a solution to what they're saying is the food crisis, food shortages. We see, and I've even reported here on the channel, how lab grown chicken has been approved now for sale in the United States. That's going to become, possibly a growing thing, whether it has special labeling or not. Um, I've even mentioned before where there have been talks where it has been said that they want to inject some of our foods that we eat with a certain thing, right? Very concerning. So all of these things, when you lay all the cards on the table, it makes it seem like our food supply is under attack. So much so that I continue to, share with people. My message is the same. Grow as much as your food as possible. So, when you grow your own food, you know what's in it. It tastes different. Last night, I gathered some mixed greens from my home garden, and I, washed them good, and I roasted them in the oven, and they tasted so good. Didn't taste like store-bought greens. My homegrown greens actually tasted better. The other day, I went in the backyard, okay, and I gathered lettuce to make a salad. My daughter was like, "Mommy," she was like, "this tastes better than this salad from the store," and it actually did. So the fact that she even noticed it as a child, that spoke volumes in itself. So, again, as much as possible, I would encourage you. I can't tell you what to do, but as much as possible, I would encourage you to, um, grow your own food. Okay. So, um, I want to talk about the five biggest threats, okay, to the food supply. And I want to let you know whether you agree or disagree. Many of these I agree with, but I want to hear your thoughts as well. Okay. Now, I've done some research, and I have some information that I want to share from sources with you. Um, an attack on our food. Okay. Do you agree or disagree? Or what are your thoughts on the statement, there is an attack on our food? Okay. Not only is there an attack on our food, but in that attack, it seems like um, it consists of who controls the food, okay? Um, who grows it, okay? Um, what can be farmed, okay? What you can eat, what you cannot eat. These are all the factors when we talk about our food being under attack, our food supply being under attack. These are some of the factors to be considered. Now, um, starvation, okay? Starvation is a real possibility. You all know here on the channel, I report international news, and many times we may hear or see stories happening in other countries where people are going without food. People will go to great lengths to get the food that they need, right? I put a post up a while ago, and I say, thinking about traditionally here in the United States, Black Friday, people will fight. Oh, if people will fight over a television, right? To get a television that's marked down, that's, the people see as a benefit to them, or a within a reasonable price. If they're willing to fight over a television, right? An all out brawl fighting over television. Imagine what people would do when there's little to no food. Okay. So starvation is a real possibility. So is being forced. Now I want you to think about this, right? Just like starvation is a very real possibility, so is being forced to eat synthetic foods. that aren't good for us. Okay, now again, you can look at my videos. Maybe I'll post them at the end of this video where I talked about lab grown meat, lab grown chicken. Um, they're going to market it as a way where, we're saving the planet, helping the environment. But can we really say that these foods that they're making up, creating, um, can we really say, do we really have proof that these items are good for us? Now, I actually researched the process, and I believe I explained it in one of my videos of how they are making this lab grown, or sometimes you may see the word cultivated meat. Um, excuse me, and just listening to the process, I said, well, wait a minute, like that doesn't sound like anything I want to put in my body, but you know, you could be different. I'm not here to criticize. I'm just trying to share the information with you and make you aware. Okay. So again, y'all, starvation is real. So is the possibility of being forced to eat synthetic foods that aren't good for us. Now, again, y'all, as a solution, as what they're saying is a solution, right, to the food crisis, the impact of climate change on the food supply, we're going to see now or in the coming months, years, we're going to see more and more what they claim are solutions to fight food insecurity, food shortage, starvation. And it may not really be good for us. Okay. That's why it's important, I feel like, for us to grow as much of our own food as possible. Okay. Um, we need to be aware so that we can prepare now to protect our families. Okay. That's a large part of what my channel is all about, me creating the channel so that I can share information with you so that you can make a plan to protect and provide for your family, right? So I want to talk about five biggest threats to the U.S. food supply. Okay, number one, you all have heard me talk about before. Okay, and these are in no particular order, right? I'm just listing one, two, three, four, five. Let's talk about the war on our farmers. Okay, now you may say, okay, well, Andrea, what are you talking about? You all know right here on the channel, I've reported how Dutch farmers have been fighting back regarding their farmland and how in their particular country, how there was concern, even I believe here in the United States, there was concern about nitrogen from nitrogen and fertilizer and things like that. And so, there is, uh, or it could be perceived that there is an attack on our farmers. Okay, the farmers who work tirelessly, selfishly, selfishly. Am I saying that right, y'all? Y'all know what I'm talking about, right? It's still a little bit early. Who work selfishly to feed our country, feed the world. And here it is, what is 2023. This didn't just start this I'm saying 2023 because that's the year that we're in, but it just did not start this year, y'all. This is something that seems like has been in the works. And this is their livelihood. This is how many farmers make their primary source of income for their living, right? And I want to read to you what's happening with the farmers, okay? Particularly here in America. American farmers and farmland are under attack thanks to harsh governmental regulations that aim to put them out of business, all right? Now, you can do your research on this, okay? I'm not here making this up. This is not what some may call a conspiracy theory. Listen to this, y'all, okay? Now, it seems that, okay, our government is trying to stop American farmers. Some people can perceive this as so, that the government is purposely trying to stop American farmers from farming so they can put the land into conservation. Okay. Please share your thoughts on this, whether or not you have any insight. Let me know um, your particular thoughts on this topic. Okay. Now, the Inflation Reduction Act bill. Okay. I talked about this bill when it first was being introduced and when it, was passed into law. But listen to this, y'all. Deep inside the Inflation Reduction Act bill, which President Biden signed on Tuesday, August 16, 2022, and the article I'm reading from refers to page 529. A lot of times when these bills come out, they're pages and pages. It really does not give people the desire to want to read all of it because it's so long. But Deep inside on page 529 of the Inflation Reduction Act bill, if you want to go research it, which President Biden signed on Tuesday, August 16, 2022, there are provisions to pay farmers to not farm. Now, when this information first came out, okay, a lot of people were saying, no, how could they do this? Why would the government not pay? Why would the government, right? Why would they pay farmers not to farm? Okay. It's in the Inflation Reduction Act bill. Okay. I'm going to go and research this. Again, this is an article I'm referencing, but I want to encourage you as well. Okay. If you have a notepad or you want to take notes, let me repeat this again. In talking about, so the number, well, one threat, okay, I'm listing them 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, no, in no particular order. The first threat, okay, against the U.S. food supply is the government's war on farmers. Okay, again, y'all, um, some people, many people, based on the information that's out there, many people are assuming that our government is trying to stop farmers, American farmers, from farming so they can put the land into conservation. Okay, someone, feel free to share your thoughts or insight on this. Okay. Deep inside the Inflation Reduction Act bill, which President Biden signed on Tuesday, August 16th, 2022, on page 529, there are provisions to pay farmers to not farm. Okay. Now, listen to this, y'all. The legislation, okay, talking about the Inflation Reduction Act bill, the legislation also provides $20 million in funding for farms through programs such as the Environmental Quality Incentives Program, the Regional Conservation Partnership Program, and the Agricultural Conservation Easement Program. All right. Also in the lineup for funding is the Conservation Reserve Program. Now, listen to this, y'all. This organization, and some people may say that this is currently what's happening now, but listen to this, y'all. Also in the lineup for funding is the Conservation Reserve Program. Okay. This organization, the article says, exists to take land out of production to cut greenhouse gas emissions. Okay. Again, tying this in with the climate change, right? By providing farmers with incentives in the form of money. Okay, so think about this, y'all. Now, think about, just try to visualize, okay? Even if you're not a farmer. I'm not a farmer. I have a home garden, nowhere near on a, production level or scale as a huge farm with acres and acres of land, right? If farmers could remember, farmers are not only feeding the world, right? But they're also making a living. They're taking the money, the profit, and they're making a living for their families, correct? Now, if they could be paid, right, the same amount of money or maybe even more to not farm and do all that hard labor and working in the heat or working tirelessly and be able to spend more time with their family or do whatever it is they want to do you think that farmers would turn that down? Or would they say, hey, I'll take this, amount of money, however much it is, and I don't have to do all this hard work? Just think about this. Think about that, y'all. Do you feel like many farmers would turn that down, or would they take up the offer? According to the sources, this is what's going on. Okay. Listen, y'all. Now, should farmers decide to farm under this bill? Okay, this page is maybe thousands of pages long, right? Should farmers decide to farm under this bill, the government will regulate how you grow, what you can grow, and what you can and can't use as fertilizer. Were y'all aware of that? Let me read that again, y'all. Okay, this is very important. One threat we're talking about right now against the U.S. food supply, the government's war on farmers. Okay, the Inflation Reduction Act bill, which President Biden signed on Tuesday, August 16, 2022, page 529. There are provisions to pay farmers not to farm. Okay, now I'm going to go a little bit later and research this, page 529 of the Inflation Reduction Act bill. Okay, the legislation also provides $20 million for funding for farms through programs. I listed those. Also in the lineup for funding is the Conservation Reserve Program. This organization exists to take land out of production to cut greenhouse emissions by providing farmers with incentives in the form of money. Okay, should farm now, if they say, you know what, I'm not going along with this, I'm going to keep farming. Listen to what they're saying, y'all. Should farmers decide to farm under this bill, the government would regulate how you grow, what you can grow, and what you can and cannot use is fertilizer. Think about that, y'all. Okay. State laws. Okay. State laws are just as threatening to our food security. Okay. In 2015, the state of Minnesota passed a seed law that prohibits gardeners from sharing or giving away seeds. Did you know that? I didn't know that. Unless they buy an annual permit, have the seeds tested, and attach a detailed label. Okay. The law also applies to seed libraries. Think about that, y'all. Now, California, okay, the state of California passed an animal welfare regulation that requires more space for breeding pigs, egg laying chickens, and veal calves. Okay. If you like the content of the video so far, please give me a thumbs up. That will also let me know that you can hear me and see me. Let me know if you find this information to be valuable. And also, please share your thoughts in the comments. Okay. Thank you all so much for taking time out of your morning to tune in and get this information. Okay. Now, there are just two in a long, these are just two. Oh, I'm sorry. Let me go back and read this, y'all. This is important as well. Okay. California passed an animal welfare regulation that requires more space for breeding pigs, egg laying chickens, and veal calves. However, only 4% of hog operations were able to comply with the new regulations. Now, these are just two in a long list of examples of how the government has taken upon itself to become, and I quote, experts, okay, in farming practices. The issue is, okay, politicians are not farmers, they are politicians. All right. History has shown us, according to the news source, history has shown how devastating the consequences of government interference is when they try to manipulate farming practices and institute land reform policies. Okay. Listen, y'all. In other international news, okay, it says, or Zimbabwe, once known as the breadbasket of Africa, thanks to Mugabe's land reform policies, where the property rights of commercial farmers were revoked and the state resettled the confiscated farms with small scale agriculturalists, people are still starving decades later. Okay, so they gave an example of how government interference in farming can have some devastating long term effects on the people in those areas. Okay, we can also talk about Sri Lanka, which I have, the country of Sri Lanka, which I've covered here on the channel. Um, Sri Lanka, the source says, completely collapsed due to the systemic destruction of its agriculture, and now citizens are starving in a country that once was self-sufficient. Think about that, y'all. Okay, we talk a lot about self-sufficiency here on the channel as well. Okay, um, y'all, I'm talking about things that are happening in the United States. Okay, what are your thoughts on this particular topic? Okay, so the first threat that has been identified to the U.S. food supply is government and its rules and regulations on farming. Okay, let me know if you agree or disagree with these topics. Now, many of you all here on the channel, you know, we've talked about the World Economic Forum, or WEF as it's abbreviated. The second threat to the U.S. food supply is the WEF agenda to, and I quote, rethink food production. Now, listen to this, y'all. Okay, this is going to be quite shocking for many of you all who may or may not have known that this was even going on. Okay, the global elites, as they're sometimes referred to, of the World Economic Forum, that's WEF, have an exciting new plan for our food system. They're going to rethink our food ecosystem. Okay, and do so to, and I quote, mend our damaged relationship with food. Okay, have you ever heard of the Food Action Alliance? I haven't. Maybe you have, but if you haven't, let's learn together. Okay, the Food Action Alliance. Okay, maybe you want to jot this down in your notes, do some research later. The Food Action Alliance is the World Economic Forum's multi-stakeholder platform that aims to achieve, and I quote, sustainable food systems that deliver better, faster, And at a scale on food security and nutrition, inclusive growth and decent jobs, environmental sustainability, and climate resilience. Okay, again, talking about the Food Action Council. Okay, now how are they going to do that? You may be wondering, okay, they're talking about doing all this. What is their actual plan? Listen to this, y'all. Okay, so um, let me see. This comes directly from their website. Okay, you can go ahead and research this, but it says, and I quote, food system transformation is among the most powerful ways to make progress on multiple SDGs, but the high level of systemic interdependence means that rebuilding food systems requires an unprecedented degree of cooperation. Remember how I was telling you all that this is like a global collaborative effort among countries to carry out this agenda, whether it's introducing genetically modified foods or foods that contain this, the thing, injecting the thing into food. It could also mean more lab grown, lab grown foods. I told you all that there was a chemical. I believe it's called a peel. You can research that as well. But they're putting chemicals um, using a certain type of technology. They're putting this technology on food to with claims that the food will last longer. Okay, due to supply chain issues and things like that. These are real things that are happening, y'all. You can research this. Um, this is not anything I'm making up. Okay, please share your thoughts in the chat. Okay, let me know that the chat is working also. Listen, y'all. Okay, and do it under the guise of getting more food to more people and protecting the environment from harmful farming practices. Okay, that's what they're saying, y'all. Here's the problem with that. Okay, they are wanting to take thousands of years of what's worked, toss it to the side, and redesign how we grow, process, and produce food. Okay, think about this, y'all. Farming, these are practices that have been in place hundreds, if not thousands of years. Um, they want to all of a sudden get rid of that in the name of what they're saying is saving the environment, um, reducing emissions, things like that. Okay, what are your thoughts on that? Transforming the food ecosystem isn't something that can happen overnight. And as we see with the case of Sri Lanka, if not done properly, it can lead to mass starvation. Okay. Only this time we're talking about starvation on a global scale. Okay. Except the elites won't starve, but the people could potentially. All right. So think about this, y'all. The ones making the decisions, okay, are they really going to be themselves? Are they going to be the ones behind and eating, even though they're the ones, trying to make the decisions or whatever, right? And by the way, are these people elected? Who, how are they the ones that have been put in a position where they can make decisions for the world, right? That's concerning in itself. But the question I have, and you can share your thoughts on this, are these people themselves, are they really going to be eating lab grown meat? Or are they going to be somewhere else like eating real steak? Think about it, y'all. The decisions that they're making allegedly, right? Are they actually going to participate in this? Or are they saying, okay, well, this is what we want y'all to do, but we have a different plan for ourselves? Think about that, y'all. Okay, let me know your thoughts on that. Okay. Um, One has to question a group that is targeting rice. Okay. Oh, hold on, y'all. I skipped. Okay. The WEF's initiatives continue to get more and more worrisome, along with their push to get us to eat bugs. Okay. We talked about that before on the channel. Bugs is a source of protein. Okay. Um, Along with their push to get us to eat bugs and have nothing and be happy. Okay. They're now waging war on rice. Waging war on rice due to rice farming's methane emissions. Okay. You can look that up as well. One has to question a group that is targeting rice. Listen, y'all. Not only does rice produce 1/5 of the calories consumed worldwide, it's the third largest crop in the world. Think about that, y'all. Okay. What will happen when the rice industry gets regulated to the point of not being able to produce rice at all? These are real things that we need to think about, y'all. Okay. Think about it. Starvation. Okay. So again, y'all, so far we've covered one, talking about the five biggest threats, okay, that have been identified so far. And again, this is, this is not a end all be all list, right? Five biggest threats um, against the U.S. food supply. We talked about the government regulation affecting farmers. We also talked about the WEF, World Economic Forum's agenda to rethink food production. Okay, you all let me know your thoughts on this topics. Let me know your thoughts on this topic, and whether you find this information to okay. All right, just wanted to make sure that everything was still working. Okay, thank you all so much for supporting the channel. I have three more topics to cover, and then that will be it for this video. Again, thank you, thank you, thank you for your support. Okay, all right, another speaking of farmers and farmland, another threat to the U.S. food supply is the consolidation of U.S. farms. Okay, what do you mean by that? Now, corporations, okay, corporations, as well as individuals, wealthy individuals, are gobbling up small farms and buying up farmland. And the majority of farmland is owned by a few billionaires and foreign entities. Did you know that? Now, according to the USDA, 80, and I quote, 80% of rented farmland, okay, roughly around 283 million acres or 30% of our farmland is owned by non-operator landlords, okay, meaning those that own the land used in agricultural production but are not actively involved in farming. Think about that, y'all, okay? Now, the Agricultural Daily reports, and I quote, between 2004 and 2014, foreign investors doubled their American farmland holdings, growing from 13.7 million to 27.3 million acres, which is approximately the size of Tennessee. And while this represents only about 2% of total U.S. farmland, the value of the land in question leapt from $17.4 billion to $42.7 billion during the same period. Okay. U.S. farmland, this is concerning y'all. U.S. farmland is in the hands of a few. I'm sorry, U.S. farmland in the hands of a few is a serious threat to our food security. So think about it, y'all. I've done a video before where I talked about how Bill Gates, he upset residents, I believe it was either North or South Dakota, one of the two, I believe, um, by buying up farmland. Now, think about, do you really want someone like who I just mentioned in wealthy elites, foreign entities controlling the farmland and they're not actively involved in farming? Think about how potentially dangerous that could even be. Um, and these people may have the financial resources, the connections to help push this agenda for things like lab grown food, genetically modified food, right? Think about that, y'all. Think about that. That's concerning in itself. Um, what intentions? Okay, you may even ask, what are their intentions? What intentions do these corporations, billionaires, and foreign governments have? What's stopping them from deciding to stop farming the land, lobbying Congress for their own gain, pushing out small farms, and heavily influencing our nation's food supply? Guess what, y'all? The answer is absolutely nothing. Okay. A fourth threat to the U.S. food supply is food plant fires. Okay. We've covered here on the channel, you know, um, train derailments. We talked about, fires at different food plants. Um, Listen, y'all, there's something strange, it seems, going on with our nation's food processing and livestock facilities. Okay. Many of them are literally burning to the ground. Now, the large number of fires destroying food plants and factories in recent years is quite alarming. Okay. With 2023, with this year looking to be even more destructive than last year in 2022. Okay. Now, should these continue, we can expect more disruption to our already fragile food supply chain, as well as more shortages and even higher prices. Okay. The fifth attack, the fifth biggest threat, rather, on our food supply is cyber attacks on the food sector. Now, we've talked about cyber attacks before here on the channel. You wouldn't think that cyber attacks would affect the food industry or the food sector, but let me give you some information. Now, the cybersecurity threat to the food industry is growing and it's expected to get worse. Listen to this, y'all. Here's a quote from the cybersecurity company Dragos, who reported, and I quote, in the final quarter of last year, I'm sorry, this is according to an organization called Just Food, okay? And I quote, in the final quarter of last year, U.S. cybersecurity company Dragos reported the food and beverage sector was a victim of more attacks than any sector other than manufacturing, okay? Earlier this year, Dole, the company Dole, was a victim of a ransomware attack, and the breach resulted in the shortage of some fresh fruit and vegetable products, okay? You wouldn't think that a cyber attack would necessarily have an effect on the food industry, but I'm explaining to you how that is the case, okay? And two, in these, as I explain these topics, you can go and research them for yourself, okay? 2022, Maple Leaf Foods, a meat processing company in Canada, experienced a cyber attack which impacted business. There are countless more on record, and sadly, countless more to come. Okay, attacks on our food facilities or food transportation infrastructure can have far reaching effects, from shortages to higher prices, and even in the worst case scenario, y'all, starvation. Okay, now is the time, if you haven't already, make sure you have your emergency food supply, your survival needs. Um, Even here in our country, we can, are some things out of our control, most certainly. But here's where you can, voice your opinion. You still have a voice in all of this. Um, you still have a choice, okay? And you still have time to um, prepare. So again, y'all, make sure you have as much as possible, okay? I want to encourage you to grow your own foods. Also, I want to encourage you to have your emergency food supply, survival needs. Please make sure that you add water to your emergency, to your list of survival. Talk to your friends and family about what's going on. Now, I know for many of you all, it may be a little bit harder to try to get your family to understand what's going on, what has happened, what's going on, what's to come. But the more you try to share with them, maybe eventually they'll have a change of mind. But talk to your friends and family about what's going on and make a plan to prepare for your own food security. Okay. Um, just think about it, y'all. Like I said earlier in the video, if people will go through great lengths to fight over a television for, like, let's say Black Friday, imagine what they would do over food. Okay. Food and water is essential for our survival. And so, when there is a lack of food, lack of water, expect complete chaos to soon follow. Okay. That's why it's so important for you to make a plan now. Okay. If you don't already have one, make a plan to protect and provide for your family. Okay. Um, like I said, if you would like to, okay, again, I can't tell you what to do, but if you would like to, it would be a good idea to grow your own foods. I have a gardening playlist here on the channel. You can check it out, see how I got started with my home garden. This year, for the first time, I grew 100% of my garden from seed. Yes, it took, hard work and trial and error, but I didn't let the mistakes keep me from continuing on and learning, and, learning how to not only grow a garden, but maintain it. Okay. Um, you can do that whether or not you live in a home and you have a backyard, or if you live in an apartment. Okay. Please take some time to invest in emergency food. Okay. You all know I do have a website. I'll type it here in the chat, preparewithandrea.com. Okay. You can get your emergency food supply and survival needs. So check that site out as well. It's also in the about section here on the channel, but you can look that up as well. If you think you can't afford, okay, to purchase long-term emergency food right now, think again. I know on my website they have different payment options that you may be eligible for. Um, Purchase short-term emergency food. Stock up on food at your grocery store. Okay, I talked to you all about flour. Okay, there, flour, grains, things like that. I'm going to put a video together where I talk about some items that you need to keep in your emergency food supply. That maybe I feel like may be of a great benefit to you as well. And stock up, y'all. Okay, you don't have to necessarily try to rush. I'm not telling you to rush out and go and get everything now, but if you make small steps, take small steps. Okay, go to the grocery store, maybe buy extra 2 cans of this or extra bag of this. Over time, that will add up. Okay. Please let me know if you feel like this information is helpful to you or was helpful to you. Now's the time to get prepared, y'all. A lot of things are have happened. A lot of things are currently in the talks now, but I don't want you to feel like you hit a brick wall um, when all of this information comes out and you were not prepared. Okay, so please take the steps that you feel like you need to take in order to get prepared. A lot has happened, y'all. A lot is currently happening, and a lot is coming. Okay, but the more information you have via channels like mine, Andrea Speaks TV, the more time. Excuse me, y'all. Let me see. Excuse me. The more access you have to information, the better chance you can take action now to get prepared so that when things do come to a point, which I hope they don't, but again, a lot of things are out of our control. You'll be prepared. Okay. You'll be able to survive, sustain, and thrive in those times. Okay. Again, thank you all so much for supporting the channel. Please subscribe to the channel if you have not subscribed yet. Join our community. Please leave your thoughts and comments in the comment section of this video. Let me know your thoughts. Okay. Again, talking about the 5 biggest threats to the U.S. food supply. If you feel like there's another threat that wasn't mentioned, please share that below and explain. Okay. Thank you all so much for tuning in. I appreciate your support, and I'll be back with more news and commentary you can use right here on Andrea Speaks TV.